The cleaner found him on the 22nd floor, standing on the ledge outside his father's office window, hands trembling, laptop still open behind him, showing a red failed mark. She didn't scream. She just whispered, "Step back. I'll tell you a secret." That's how everything began to change.
Hello, if you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and tap the notification bell. Type in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as touching as this one, or maybe even crazier. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's begin.
The morning light slid through the mirrored glass of Hayes & Sons Financial, washing the 22nd floor in silver. Inside, Callum Hayes sat alone in his father's office. A coffee cup, cold, a half-eaten muffin, and the screen, white background, red words, failed. He stared until the letters blurred. The cursor blinked, waiting for him to care. He whispered, "That's the last one," then shut the laptop. Outside the office, voices hummed, assistants, board aides, his father somewhere barking numbers that always added up. Nathan Hayes never failed. He didn't understand what that word felt like pressed against your ribs. The door opened. Nathan stepped in. Tailored suit, calm precision. "You're here early." Callum straightened. "Wanted a quiet place to work. Use the study at home. I think better here." Nathan adjusted a cufflink, looked at his son. "You've got the test results?" "Yeah." "And?" Callum's throat closed. "I'm working on it." Nathan's jaw flexed. "We'll discuss tonight. Don't waste the day." He left the scent of cologne and control behind him. Across the hall, a cleaning cart squeaked softly over marble. Maya Carter kept her rhythm steady. Wipe, turn, spray, breathe. 13 years since she'd left college to care for her mother. Now 32, still paying off the last hospital bill. She liked this floor. Big windows, quiet people who barely saw her. At noon, the rain began, a gray drizzle sliding down the glass. Most employees left for lunch. Maya knocked once before entering the CEO's office. No answer. She pushed the door open anyway, habit from years of invisibility. Callum sat with his head in his hands. The laptop open again, another test window, the timer ticking. Maya hesitated at the doorway. "Sorry, I didn't realize—" "It's fine," his voice cracked. She began dusting the side table, pretending not to notice the tears he wiped fast. Then, a sharp sound. The laptop slammed shut. He shoved his chair back, knocking over a stack of reports. "I can't!" He stopped himself, breathing fast. Maya froze. She'd seen that kind of panic before. Her brother, years ago before the pills. "Hey," she said quietly, "step outside for a minute. Air helps." "I don't need." He was already standing, pacing toward the window. Rain hit harder. The skyline blurred. She set the cloth down, heart thudding. He unlatched the window. "Don't!" He didn't hear her, or didn't want to. Wind rushed in, whipping papers across the floor. He stepped onto the narrow ledge, hands gripping the frame. Maya moved closer. No panic, just steady breathing. "Look at me," she said. He did. His eyes were red, wild. "You failed a test, that's all." He shook his head. "You don't understand. He built this whole world. I can't even pass a screen full of numbers." "I understand more than you think." The wind slapped her words between them. She didn't raise her voice, didn't beg. She simply said, "Step back. I'll tell you a secret." Something in her tone, soft, almost motherly, cut through the noise. He blinked. Then stepped down. She closed the window behind him and locked it, both of them breathing hard. "Now," she said, "take this." She handed him a clean rag. "Wipe the glass. It'll stop your hands from shaking." He frowned, but obeyed. When the last smear was gone, she smiled faintly. "See? Still here." He sat on the edge of the desk. "You shouldn't have done that. And you shouldn't have scared me like that." For the first time, he almost laughed. She noticed, behind the exhaustion, a kid trying not to drown. She picked up a paper from the floor, the failed test questions still visible. "Oh," she murmured, tracing the numbers. "Oh, they're teaching it backwards." He looked up. "What do you mean?" She shrugged. "Different way to think. I'll show you if you promise not to climb anything." He nodded. Behind the glass door, Nathan's voice drifted down the hall, mid-meeting, crisp and certain. He had no idea his son was still alive because of the woman scrubbing his windows. Maya gathered her things. "I'll be back in the evening to finish. Don't do anything stupid." He wanted to thank her, but the words caught. She paused at the door, glanced at the family photo on the shelf. Nathan, Colum, and an absent smile where a wife should have been. Then she left. The rain eased. Colum stared at the cleaned glass, his reflection faint against the city. He breathed. For the first time all day, the air didn't hurt. He didn't know her name yet, but he'd remember her voice. Has a stranger ever said something that changed the way you saw yourself, even for a moment? Tell us what it was. Your story might help someone breathe again today.
The rain didn't stop for 3 days. The city blurred through gray mornings and silver nights, washing everything into reflection. Maya came back each evening, same time, same floor. And every time she passed the CEO's office, the boy was there, sitting at his father's desk, quiet, working through online questions with an expression that hovered between focus and fear. She didn't interrupt the first night, or the second, but on the third, he spoke first. "You said they're teaching it backward," Callum said, without turning. Maya paused mid-wipe. "I am." "How do you mean?" "You're memorizing patterns, not understanding logic." He frowned. "You sound like my tutor." She smiled. "Then your tutor's not explaining it right." He looked up. "You used to study this stuff?" "Used to study everything," she said. "What happened?" "Life." He nodded, didn't pry. Something in her tone said that story was too old to touch. She crossed to the desk. "Show me what you got wrong." He turned the screen toward her. She leaned close, scanning. The scent of lemon cleaner hung between them. "Here," she said, tapping the keyboard lightly. "You're chasing the number, not the reason." "That's the whole point of the test." "No," she said. "The point is to understand why the number makes sense." He tried it her way. For the first time, an answer clicked. A genuine one, not guessed. He looked up. "You should be teaching." She laughed softly. "I tried that once. Didn't work out." Behind them, the door opened. Nathan Hayes stepped in mid-sentence, Bluetooth still in his ear. He stopped when he saw her standing there beside his son. His expression was unreadable. "Maya," he said slowly, "you're not scheduled to clean this room until after 8. "I know," she said calmly. "He asked for help." "Help?" Nathan repeated. Callum stood fast. "She was showing me something." Nathan's eyes flicked from his son to the laptop. "You needed help with this?" Callum swallowed. "Just perspective." Nathan gave a short nod. "Well, I paid tutors for that, not custodians." Silence, the kind that hums.
Maya didn't lower her gaze. Sometimes perspective comes from where you least expect it, sir. That surprised him. Not the words, the steadiness. He'd built an empire on commanding rooms, and this woman stood there, rag in hand, unmoved. He looked at his son again. Don't make a habit of disrupting staff. Then he turned and left. The air he left behind was sharp. Callum sank back into his chair, embarrassed. I'm sorry, he didn't mean it like... Oh, he meant it, Maya said. Doesn't bother me. It bothers me. Good, she said. Means you still got your humanity. Later that night, she finished the rest of her floor. Empty cubicles, faint buzz of lights, but her mind wasn't quiet. She kept seeing that boy, his trembling fingers steadying as the answer clicked, the shadow in his father's eyes when he looked at her. She hated remembering that look, the kind men gave when they didn't quite know what to make of you. But this one felt different, curious, not cruel. Callum stayed late trying the next module. He kept hearing her voice. Don't chase the number, find the reason. It worked again, and again. For the first time, he didn't feel stupid. When the clock blinked past midnight, he looked out the window at the city lights and smiled quietly to himself. Then, from the reflection, he noticed something. His father, standing alone in the corridor watching him through the glass wall. Nathan didn't enter, just stood there a moment before walking away. That look wasn't judgment, it was something else. Next morning, Nathan came to the office early. He found the report from overnight on his desk. A perfect score. He frowned. You did this yourself? Yes. How? Callum hesitated. Someone showed me another way to look at it. Your tutor? No. Maya? Nathan blinked. Maya? The cleaner? Nathan said nothing for a long time. He was a man who measured everything in profit and process. But this disrupted both. Finally, he said, well, keep doing whatever works. Then softer, good job. It was the first time those words had ever landed without weight. By the end of the day, Maya was cleaning the executive lobby when Nathan appeared beside her cart. She stiffened slightly. Mr. Hayes, Maya, he said, I wanted to thank you for helping my son. He helped himself. He smiled faintly. That's generous. She kept working, not meeting his gaze. He watched the deliberate motion of her hands, the quiet precision. Something unfamiliar stirred, respect, curiosity, maybe both. You used to study, didn't you? He asked. She looked up, surprised. Yes. What happened? Tuition, then my mother got sick. Nathan nodded slowly. I'm sorry. Life happens, she said. We don't all get a second try. He was about to respond, but his phone rang. He checked the screen, frowned. Excuse me. She went back to her cloth. As he walked away, she exhaled. He didn't see her smile then. Small, tired, but real. That night, Callum sent an email. Subject, thank you. No message body. She replied. Subject, you're welcome. And just like that, something fragile and alive began to move between their three lives. The next week stretched long and uneven. The rain left, but the quiet didn't. Callum studied every day in his father's office now. Maya still cleaned the floor. They spoke less, both pretended the other wasn't waiting for the next conversation. When they did talk, it was about numbers, not feelings. It worked, for a while. But the silence afterward pressed too close. Nathan began noticing details. Fresh coffee cups in his office that he hadn't ordered. The faint scent of lemon and soap clinging to the curtains. His son's sudden confidence when he explained quarterly reports at breakfast. Nathan didn't ask where it came from. He told himself it was discipline. Yet, when he saw Maya at the end of the hall, head bowed as she wiped the glass, he felt something like gratitude, and something he couldn't name. He kept walking. On Wednesday, Callum's test results landed. Another pass. He should have been thrilled. Instead, he felt restless. He opened a blank document, typed a message. You free tonight?
then erased it. He told himself it wasn't right. She was older, a cleaner, his father's employee. He closed the laptop. The phone buzzed anyway. Maya, if you're stuck on the new module, don't chase the number. He smiled, replied, I remember, then turned off his phone. He needed space. That evening, Maya stayed later than usual. The building emptied until only the hum of the elevators remained. She was scrubbing the glass near Nathan's office when the door opened. He stepped out, jacket over his arm. Maya, Mr. Hayes? He hesitated. You're still here. Trying to finish early. You always do. He smiled faintly, then looked toward his office door. My son's been improving. I noticed. You had something to do with that. She shrugged. He just needed someone to tell him he wasn't broken. Nathan studied her face. There was no arrogance there, no self-pity, just truth. Something in his chest shifted, like a door creaking open. Thank you, he said quietly. She nodded once. Good night, sir. When she left, he stayed at the doorway longer than he meant to, watching the hall lights fade behind her. Friday arrived with the smell of spring and too much tension. Callum came in late, hair damp, eyes red. Nathan noticed. You look tired. Didn't sleep. You should. You have your final exam tomorrow. Callum nodded, started for the desk, then stopped. Dad? Nathan looked up. Why'd you hire so many people to do what you can do yourself? Nathan frowned. Excuse me? I mean, do you ever just do something because it matters, not because it earns? Nathan set his pen down. You've been talking to Maya? Callum froze. Nathan's tone was even, but sharp at the edges. You know better than to get too close to staff. She's not, she works for me. Callum's voice cracked. She saved me. You didn't even notice. Nathan went still. For a moment, neither moved. Finally, Nathan said, Go home. Callum left without another word. Maya found him that night sitting outside the tower, on the steps, hoodie pulled over his head. Rough day? He didn't look up. He found out. Of course he did. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. You didn't. Feels like I did. She sat beside him. The marble was cold through her uniform pants. He doesn't like people helping me. He doesn't know how to be helped. You sound like you pity him. I don't. I just understand him. He glanced sideways. You understand everyone, don't you? Not everyone, she said softly. Just people who hide the same way I do. He studied her face, the quiet strength, the tired beauty in it. You hide? She smiled. All the time. They sat in silence until the streetlights flickered on. When she stood to leave, she said, Don't let him shame you for learning from the wrong place. The right lessons rarely come from the right people. He watched her walk away, back into the tower, her reflection splitting in the glass doors like a doubled secret. Inside, Nathan watched from his office window. He'd seen them outside. Too close, too comfortable. He told himself it was inappropriate, unprofessional. Yet the real reason his jaw tightened was simpler. For the first time, someone else had reached his son in ways he never could. And the woman who had done it made him feel seen, too. That was the part he couldn't stand. He turned off the lights and left, pretending the darkness was still under his control.
Monday began with thunder. A sudden power outage darkened half the tower before dawn. Elevators stalled, systems crashed. Executives were stranded on different floors, and the cleaning crew was told to stay until the generators were stable. Maya stayed on 28, the executive level. Nathan arrived late, irritated but calm. The outage had cut his morning meeting short. When he stepped from the stairwell, she was already there, flashlight in hand, checking the cords behind his desk. "Everything all right?" he asked. She turned, just keeping things from tripping again. You could have gone home. Not until the power's stable. Their eyes met in the dim light. Then the generator kicked back in, humming softly. The lights flickered to life around them, warm and low like dawn indoors. Down the hall, Callum was at his laptop, trying to connect to the college portal. No Wi-Fi, no signal, no escape. He sighed and leaned back. When Nathan found him, Maya followed, clipboard still in hand. "You should take the day off," Nathan said. "I can't. My exam's tonight." "With no internet? I'll figure it out." Maya set her clipboard down. "You could run a hotspot from my phone?" Nathan frowned. "You'd do that?" "Why not?" she said. "He's worked too hard to lose the streak." Nathan hesitated, then nodded once. The three of them ended up in his office, Maya's phone acting as the tether, Callum at the desk, Nathan pacing behind him. Rain tapped against the windows, slow and steady. Callum focused, fingers flying. Nathan watched quietly. Maya stood off to the side, silent but steady. When Callum froze on one problem, Nathan stepped closer. "Think through it. What's the logic?" His voice tightened. "I can't see it," Maya said softly. "Don't chase the number." He breathed in, tried again. This time, it clicked. Nathan exhaled, almost smiling. "You two make a good team." Callum grinned faintly. "You could learn something from her." "I already am," Nathan said before he could stop himself. Their eyes met, his and Maya's. Brief, charged. He looked away first. An hour later, the rain grew heavier. The outage had left the lobby systems unresponsive. No one could leave until the tech team cleared the locks. Maya stayed in the corner, cleaning quietly to keep busy. Nathan poured coffee, offered her one. She accepted, hesitantly. "Do you always work this hard?" he asked. "Do you always notice?" He smiled. "Only lately." She sipped. "Then maybe you're finally looking." He chuckled. "Touché." For a moment, the tension broke. Just two people talking. He told her about the company's early days, about sleeping under his first office desk, about the fear of failure that never really left. She listened, really listened, nodding at the parts that hurt more than he admitted. When he asked, "What about you?" she said, "I was supposed to be a teacher." "What stopped you?" "Bills, illness, timing." "And now?" She smiled faintly. "Now I teach in small ways." Their eyes lingered a beat too long. Then the intercom crackled. "System reboot successful." Callum packed up his things. "Thanks for the hotspot, Maya. Any time." Nathan followed them both toward the elevators. When the doors opened, he said, "Maya, I'll make sure you're compensated for the extra hours." She shook her head. "Don't. It wasn't work. It was right." He stared at her, something unspoken between them. Then nodded slowly. That night, Nathan found himself unable to sleep. He replayed the look on her face, the calm under pressure, the quiet strength. He wasn't used to admiration feeling clean. Down the hall, Callum was awake too, typing an email to his professor. "Thank you for the extension. I passed my final." He closed the laptop, staring out the window at the city lights. For once, the skyline didn't look like a wall. The next morning, Maya arrived early. Nathan was already there, coffee in hand. "Morning," he said. "Morning." He hesitated. "About yesterday, thank you. You kept things steady." "Someone had to." He smiled. "Seems that's always you." She blushed, turning back to her cart. When she spoke again, it was quieter. "You ever wonder what we'd be if we started over?" He paused. "Every day." They didn't speak after that. But something settled between them. Unspoken, fragile, undeniable. Later that week, when Callum received his results top of the class, he ran to the office.
Nathan looked up from his meeting as his son burst in, eyes wide, grin unstoppable. "I did it," Callum said. "I actually did it." He stood, pride softening his face. "You did." He hugged him. Quick, real. Then said, "Go tell Maya." Callum didn't hesitate. When Maya heard, she smiled so wide it reached her eyes. "You proved them all wrong," she said. "You showed me how." He shrugged, embarrassed. "Guess we both learned something." She laughed softly. "Guess we did." That night, as the tower lights dimmed, Nathan passed Maya in the hall. They both paused. "Long day," he said. "The best kind." He hesitated, wanting to say something more, something beyond gratitude. But instead he only said, "See you tomorrow, Mr. Hayes. See you tomorrow, Mr. Hayes." He walked away, heartbeat loud in the silence. If you were Nathan, standing there in that quiet hallway, between gratitude and something deeper, would you take the chance to speak or keep the silence? Tell me what you would have done.
The office felt different after the storm, quieter but charged, as if the walls remembered what they'd seen. Maya came in early now. She said it was to get ahead of the work, but really, it was the stillness she wanted, the hum of the coffee machines, the smell of carpet cleaner before the day began. Nathan was there too, most mornings. Sometimes they nodded in passing, sometimes they talked. Never long enough, never meaningless. One morning, she found him at the far end of the hall, staring at an old company photo on the wall. It was dated 12 years earlier. Younger Nathan, fuller smile, a woman beside him, his late wife. Maya slowed. "You look different there." He didn't turn. "I was different." "What changed?" He finally looked at her. "She died." Maya froze. He continued quietly. "Car accident. Callum was 10. He was in the car too." Her hand drifted to the frame. "He survived." "He did. I threw myself into work after that. Thought if I built enough, it'd balance what I lost." "Did it?" "No." He smiled faintly. Not the proud kind, the tired kind. "You're the first person I've told that in a long time." She met his eyes. "You should tell him." "I wouldn't know how." "Start with honesty," she said. "It's harder to misunderstand that." That afternoon, Callum came in early to the office. Nathan was in a meeting, so he waited in the lounge. Out of boredom, he wandered. The door to his father's private archive room was cracked. Inside, the lights hummed low. On the desk lay a folder labeled Carter. He frowned. Maya's last name. He opened it. Inside were old scholarship records, her name printed under "Withdrawn, Unpaid Tuition." A university logo. A signature. His father's. He stood frozen, staring at it. Nathan had once sponsored low-income students at that college. Maya had been one of them. He'd signed the form canceling her aid after her mother's medical debt defaulted. Callum's breath caught. He closed the folder carefully. When Maya returned to a station later, Callum couldn't look at her. She noticed. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "You're a bad liar." He forced a smile. "Just tired." But that night, it weighed on him. He wanted to tell her. Didn't know how. Didn't know if he should. The next evening, Nathan found Maya cleaning the conference room alone. He hesitated at the doorway. "Can we talk?" She turned, surprised by his tone. He stepped closer, the light catching the silver in his hair. "I wanted to thank you again for being patient with Callum. You've done more for him than I ever could." "You could," she said softly. "You just forgot how." He almost laughed. "Maybe I did." "Then remember, it's not too late." He studied her face, the steadiness of her gaze. "You make it sound easy." "It's not, but it's simple." He took a slow breath. Do you ever wonder what you'd be doing if life hadn't rerouted you all the time? What would it be? Teaching, maybe counseling, something with people. You still could. She smiled sadly. You ever see a custodian get hired as a teacher? He didn't answer. Their silence wasn't empty. It was full of words neither dared say. Then she added, but I've made peace with it. Sometimes the world doesn't need your dream. It needs your strength. Nathan's throat tightened. That's a rare kind of peace. It's the kind that costs everything. He wanted to say something, anything, but Callum's voice cut in. Dad? Nathan turned. What is it? Callum stood in the doorway, eyes hard. I found something. Maya frowned. What found? He dropped the folder on the table, the Carter file. Nathan froze. What is this? Callum demanded. Nathan's voice stayed low. That's confidential. It's her file. Maya stepped closer, reading the label. Her name, the signature. The color drained from her face. You canceled my scholarship, she said quietly. Nathan's breath hitched. I don't remember. Of course you don't. Her voice trembled, but it wasn't anger. It was disbelief. That was everything I had. Callum looked between them. You destroyed her life. Enough, Nathan snapped. The room went still. Maya drew back, tears shimmering. I worked 3 jobs after that. I took care of my mother until she died. I thought the world just forgot me. She shook her head slowly. But you didn't forget. You signed the paper. Nathan's voice cracked. I didn't know. It was an administrative batch, hundreds of cases, but doesn't matter. She whispered. It was my name on your desk. She turned to leave. He reached for her arm, stopped himself. Maya, please. But she was already gone. That night, Nathan sat alone in the dark office. The file still on the table. He picked it up, turned it over, staring at the signature, his name like a wound. Outside, rain started again. For the first time in years, Nathan Hayes didn't feel like a CEO. He felt like a man who'd built his success on the ruins of someone else's chance. Maya walked home through the rain. Her uniform clung to her skin, her breath shaking. She wasn't hangry anymore. Just empty. The world had a way of circling back, not to heal, but to test how much forgiveness one heart could hold. And she didn't know if she had any left.
Maya didn't come to work for 2 days. Her absence pressed through the corridors like silence made solid. Nathan kept her name off his tongue, but not out of his thoughts. He read the file again and again, each line another cut. The signature looked foreign now, his, but older, colder. By the 3rd morning, he sent a message through HR. Leave extended, full pay. He told himself it was decency, but it was apology. Callum found her first. She was sitting on a bench outside the public library, a cup of cheap coffee steaming between her hands. He hesitated before sitting down. You shouldn't have seen that file, she said. I had to, he replied. You deserve to know. Knowing doesn't fix it. I thought maybe it could. The wind tugged at her hair. He noticed the way she kept her eyes on the passing cars, as if motion might hide her trembling. My dad's not good at seeing people, Callum said quietly. He tries. He just forgets what they look like once they stop talking business. Maya smiled, tired but kind. He's better than he knows. You're the first person who ever said that. He looked at her then, really looked. The lines of fatigue under her eyes, the steadiness still holding her upright. He understood suddenly why his father couldn't let her go. You going back? He asked. I don't know. You should. He's different now. So are you, she said. That evening, Nathan walked the long way home. He ended up in front of a narrow row house 2 blocks from the harbor.
The address came from the payroll records he shouldn't have opened. He almost turned back. But the door opened first. Maya stood there, surprised. Her uniform was gone. She wore an old sweater, sleeves pushed to her elbows. "I came to apologize," he said. "You already did, on paper, with a paycheck." "Not enough." He stepped forward. "Everything I built came from believing mistakes could be buried. They can't. I know that now." She didn't answer. The rain started again, light, steady, the kind that made words unnecessary. He said softly, "Let me make it right. Finish your degree. I'll fund it. No conditions." Her eyes flashed. "So you can feel better? So you can have back what I took?" "You didn't take it," she said. "Life did. You just signed the form." The calm in her voice broke him more than anger could. He whispered, "Then let me sign something better." For a long moment she said nothing. Then, "If I say yes, it's not forgiveness. I know. It's just to start. That's all I'm asking." She nodded once, almost imperceptibly. "Okay," she said, "a start." Inside her kitchen, the smell of old wood and lemon oil filled the space. She poured him tea from a chipped mug. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. When she finally did, her voice was quieter. "My mother used to say, pain's a kind of inheritance. You spend your life deciding what to do with it." "What did you do with yours?" he asked. "Worked, waited, tried not to let it make me cruel." "You succeeded. Some days." He looked around, the modest table, the drying laundry, a photo of a woman with the same eyes as Maya's. "You took care of her here. Yeah, till the end. She'd be proud. She'd be tired," she murmured, smiling faintly. "But yeah, maybe proud too." Something in the air eased, two people no longer pretending to be categories. When he left, she walked him to the door. He paused on the step. "Thank you for hearing me," he said. "Thank you for meaning it." He nodded. "See you tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," she said. The next morning, she returned to work. The cleaning crew greeted her like nothing had happened, but when Nathan saw her through the glass wall, his relief was almost visible. He didn't approach. He just nodded once. She nodded back. Something unspoken passed. Respect, forgiveness, the slow rebuilding of trust. Later, Callum came running into her hallway, waving his exam transcript. 96, he said, breathless. She laughed. "See, I told you the right lessons don't come from the right people." He grinned. "Guess that makes you the right-wrong person." They both laughed. Nathan heard it from his office. It was the first sound that felt like home in years. That night, as the building emptied, Nathan found Maya in the lobby. "You left this," he said, handing her a folder. It was the re-enrollment form. Her name already filled in. Scholarship reinstated. She looked up. "You don't waste time. Time's what we've both lost too much of." Their eyes held. Not longing, something steadier, understanding. "I'll think about it," she said. He nodded. "That's enough." When she walked away, he watched her reflection fade in the glass. It didn't feel like distance this time. It felt like beginning.
Spring came late that year, but when it did, it arrived all at once. Warm air, long light, and too many things blooming at once. For a few weeks, peace felt real. Maya was studying again, online night classes, the re-enrollment form still pinned to her fridge. Callum had started mentoring younger interns in the company lab. Nathan was softer, still strict, still sharp, but lighter around the edges. For the first time, it looked like all three might get to keep something good. Then came the article. It dropped without warning. A local business column, CEO Hayes accused of nepotism, misusing company funds for family scholarship. There was a picture, Maya's picture, cropped from the security feed, her name spelled wrong. The piece hinted that Nathan had used company money to pay for a personal relationships education. Within hours, it was everywhere. Maya's phone exploded with messages she didn't want to read. The cleaning supervisor called first.
HR is asking questions. You need to come in. Her hands shook. Is this real? I don't know, the woman said softly, but people are talking. When Nathan saw the article, he went cold. He called his PR director, barked orders, but the damage was already moving faster than he could contain. The board demanded explanations. He gave them the truth. There was no affair. There was an apology. They didn't care. Headlines don't listen to nuance. Maya arrived at the building that evening, escorted through a side door to avoid the cameras. Nathan was waiting in his office, the paper spread open on his desk. Who took that photo? Security feed. Someone leaked it. Do they know it's not true? They don't care. She folded her arms, staring out the window. Maybe I shouldn't have come back. Don't say that. It's the truth. You don't need more scandal. I don't need pity. He stepped forward. Maya, she said sharply, you don't get to protect me again. I'm not your redemption story. Her voice cracked on the last word. He flinched like it hit bone. Maya, he said quietly, I didn't do this for me. Then why does it always come back to you? Silence, long enough for both of them to hear the hum of the air vents. She turned to go. He reached out, fingers stopping an inch from her arm. Please, he said, don't let them erase what we built. I didn't ask for any of this, she whispered. I know. She left anyway. Downstairs, Callum was waiting by the elevators, phone in hand. You saw it? She asked. Yeah. You believe it? He shook his head, not for a second, but his eyes betrayed the flicker of doubt that came from years of headlines about men like his father. She saw it, and it broke something inside her. I need time, she said. He didn't argue. Nathan faced the board the next morning, a row of faces he'd once called partners. He explained, clarified, swore the relationship was professional. They nodded, expressionless. When it ended, one of them said, even perception can bankrupt a name. He walked out without answering. For the first time since the company's founding, he didn't know if he'd keep it. That night, the tower lights were dim again, storm clouds moving in from the harbor. Nathan stood by the window where Callum once had. Same height, same distance from the street. He thought of everything he'd built, everything he'd destroyed, and how both lists contained the same names. Then he heard footsteps. Maya stood in the doorway, soaked from rain. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. She came closer. I'm not here to forgive you. I just needed to see if you were still fighting. I don't know if I am. You will. He looked at her, eyes tired. They'll never believe the truth. Then let them drown in their own lies. We know what this is. He almost smiled. What is it? Messy, she said, but real. She stepped closer, close enough for him to feel the warmth under the rain on her clothes. He didn't touch her, didn't dare, but something shifted again. Pain turning into understanding, despair into something like quiet strength. They stood that way until the thunder rolled over the city. Downstairs, Callum was watching the storm from the lobby window. He didn't know if his father still had a company by morning, didn't know if Maya would still come back, but for the first time he hoped they would choose each other anyway. Because maybe that was the point. You fail, you learn, you rebuild. Not perfectly, but honestly. If you were Maya, facing the whole world's gossip and your own heartbreak, would you walk away to protect your peace, or stay to defend the truth you helped build? Tell me what you'd do.
The storm passed, but the air stayed bruised. By dawn, the streets of downtown Baltimore glittered with puddles that reflected the tower's fractured lights. Inside, the building was empty,
except for one man in a corner office. Nathan sat in the half-dark, jacket off, tie loose, his reflection split by rain streaks on the glass. The board had voted for temporary removal pending review. He'd nodded, almost grateful. Now the silence felt different. Not punishment, but consequence. He'd wanted power all his life, because power meant control. And now control was gone, and something gentler had begun to take its place. He looked down at his phone. No messages. He didn't expect any. Across the city, Maya stood at her kitchen sink, staring at the scholarship form still on her counter. The edges were wrinkled now, tea-stained, a symbol of something she hadn't decided to keep or destroy. She opened her laptop, pulled up the withdrawal page for her courses, and hovered the cursor over Confirm. Her hand shook. This wasn't about shame. It was about exhaustion. She'd fought her whole life to prove she belonged somewhere. In a classroom, in a conversation, in her own future. And now, after everything, she wasn't sure she had the strength to keep proving it. She closed the laptop instead. Not a yes, not a no, just a pause. Callum hadn't spoken to either of them since the night of the storm. He wandered the harbor, hands in his pockets, the smell of salt and gasoline clinging to his clothes. He was supposed to fly back to campus that morning, but his suitcase stayed zipped. He thought about Maya's words, his father's silence, the way both of them had changed him in opposite ways. For the first time, he wasn't afraid of failure. He was afraid of becoming hollow again. He turned his phone over in his palm, thinking of a message he'd drafted 10 times. You both saved me, even if you broke each other. He deleted it again. That evening, Maya walked. No umbrella, no destination, just motion. Her shoes soaked through before she reached the plaza outside Hayes & Co. The building loomed above her, still half lit. She hesitated, then went inside. No guard stopped her. They'd all gone home. The elevator chimed once and carried her upward, the hum of cables the only sound. When the doors opened, she saw him, Nathan, alone, by the same window where Callum once stood. He turned when she stepped forward, surprise flickering into something unspoken. Neither of them moved closer. I heard about the vote. He nodded. They'll survive without me. That's not what I meant. I know. She crossed to the desk, picked up a file, set it down again. The room felt too big for their voices. I didn't come here to fix anything. Then why? To decide if I'm still angry. Are you? Less than I was, more than I wanted to be. He exhaled slowly. I wanted to protect you. You keep saying that, she murmured. But maybe I was never the one who needed saving. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time his defenses were gone. I'm not proud of who I've been, but I'm proud of who you're becoming. That broke something in her. Not pain, recognition. Because he meant it, and that made it harder to hate him. She turned toward the window, eyes tracing the edge of the city. So, what now? She asked. Now, he said quietly, we keep going. Separately, maybe, but not pretending anymore. She nodded. Separately's fine, as long as it's honest. He smiled, small, tired, real. She started to leave, then paused. Do you remember what you told me once?
That I wanted to sign something better? She nodded. Maybe this is it. The moment itself. He watched her walk out. Didn't stop her. Didn't need to. Outside, the wind carried the first hints of spring warmth. Maya stood under the awning, rain dripping from her sleeves. The city stretched wide before her. She could still quit school. She could still disappear. But she wouldn't. Not anymore. Across the street, the coffee shop lights glowed soft yellow. She stepped toward them, one steady stride after another. Back upstairs, Nathan returned to the window. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the company ID badge, and set it on the desk. It caught the light like a confession. For the first time, he felt free. He opened his laptop and began typing a message to the staff. To everyone who ever felt unseen here, I'm sorry. You deserved better. From now on, you will be seen. He hit send, then sat back and watched the city breathe. Near midnight, Callum came home. His father's office door was open, the lights low. He paused in the doorway. "You okay?" he asked. "Not yet, but getting there." Callum nodded. "Good," he said, "because I think Maya is going to need both of us tomorrow." Nathan almost laughed. "You talk like you know what's coming." "Maybe I do." For the first time, they didn't feel like strangers trying to fix each other. They just felt like family, flawed, uncertain, but finally facing the same direction.
Morning stretched across the harbor like a sigh of light. For the first time in weeks, the sky was clear, sharp blue, clean after the storm. Maya left her apartment early, no uniform, no hesitation. Her steps felt lighter than they had in years. The scholarship form was folded in her pocket, not as a burden, but a choice she'd finally made. She passed the corner cafe where she used to watch people rush to offices she cleaned. Today, she stopped and went inside. The barista recognized her, smiled. "You heading to work?" "Something like that," she said, smiling back. She carried her coffee to the harbor railing where the water lapped against stone. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't cleaning up anyone else's reflection. She was looking for her own. Up in the tower, Nathan stood in a different office, not the corner one. He'd given that away to someone who'd earned it. He worked from a smaller space now, 2 floors down, sunlight coming in from the east. Callum sat across from him, laptop open, scrolling through his presentation slides. "They said they want me to mentor the new interns full-time, maybe even run the summer program." "That's good," Nathan said. "You've got a gift for it." Callum grinned. Guess failing all the tests had a purpose after all. Nathan looked up. "You didn't fail. You just hadn't met the right teacher." Callum's expression softened. "Neither did you." It landed quietly between them, truth disguised as gratitude. Father and son, no longer broken mirrors of each other. At noon, the elevator doors opened and Maya stepped out. Her clothes were simple, a white blouse, a soft gray jacket. She didn't carry a cleaning cart this time. People in the lobby looked twice, then smiled, sensing something had changed but not daring to ask what. She walked to the reception desk. "Here to see Mr. Hayes," she said. When the doors opened upstairs, Nathan was standing by the window, the same one that once framed his son's despair. Now it framed sunlight and the rhythm of a city moving forward. He turned, startled, but smiling. "Maya." "Hi," she said. They stood a few feet apart, the space filled with everything they hadn't said in weeks. She took out the folded form and placed it on his desk. "I signed it," she said. He stared at it, then at her. "Good. Classes start Monday." "That's good too."
He hesitated. "Will you still work here?" "For now," she said, "but in a different way." He nodded. "You'll always have a place here, no matter what title you hold." "I know." There was quiet again, not tension, but ease. He looked at her carefully, as though memorizing something. "I never thanked you," he said. "Not properly." "For what?" "For saving my son." She smiled. "He saved himself. I just showed him the first step." Nathan's voice softened. "You showed me mine." A light knock at the door interrupted them. Callum peeked in. "Am I interrupting?" "Always," Nathan said dryly. Maya laughed and the sound filled the room. "I was going to grab lunch. You both coming?" Nathan looked at her. Maya raised an eyebrow. "Boss's treat?" "Absolutely." They walked together down the hall. Three people who had once stood on very different floors of the same building, now walking side by side. When the elevator doors opened to the lobby, the receptionist looked up. For a second, she saw it. Not scandal, not gossip, but peace. Later, after lunch, Maya lingered by the harbor again. Nathan joined her quietly. They leaned on the railing, the city breathing around them. "Funny," he said. "This view used to make me think about everything I hadn't done. Now it makes me think about everything I still can. Maybe that's what change feels like. Still scared, but not stuck." He nodded slowly. "I'm still figuring out how to deserve any of this." "You don't have to deserve it," she replied. "Just don't waste it." He turned to her, eyes softer than she'd ever seen. "I won't." For a moment, neither spoke. Then he asked, "Do you ever think we might have met another way?" "Maybe. But then we wouldn't have learned what we did." "And what did we learn?" "That sometimes the people you least expect are the ones who see you clearly." He looked at her, really saw her, the quiet strength, the warmth behind the calm. "I see you," he said. She held his gaze. "Good. I was starting to think you never would." They both laughed softly. The sound was steady, alive. That night, Callum sent messages to them both. A simple text. "Dinner tomorrow. My treat this time." 2 replies came back within a minute. "Wouldn't miss it. Bring dessert." He smiled to himself, leaning against his window, the skyline glowing beyond. For the first time, life didn't feel like a test. It felt like a beginning. Hours later, the office stood empty again, lights humming low. Nathan's old corner window reflected only the city and a faint memory of a young man once standing too close to the edge. But the ledge was empty now. The danger had passed. And below, 3 lives had learned how to keep walking forward. If you were standing on that ledge, broken, uncertain, one mistake away from losing it all, what would it take for you to step back and start again? Would it be someone's voice or your own? Tell me in the comments, because maybe your answer is someone else's reason to hope again.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you loved this story, you will definitely love the next one. It's more intriguing than you can ever imagine. So go ahead and watch it now. Click on the image on your screen right away to watch the next one. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It helps and encourages us to share the best human interest stories you'd love.